I landed at 7 in the morning, JFK from San Francisco, overnight flight, 4.5 hours. Isn't that amazing? You can go from coast to coast for 4.5 hours, but your body, I'm still over Ohio somewhere. I am absolutely delirious. Happy to be here because I have so much to tell you. I cannot believe the amount of information that I got in 4 days, including a long chat with Gavin Newsom and a lot of breaking news about Bad Bunny, why he was actually there. So it's all coming your way. The game itself, look, I'm a former football player. You guys know that. In the first 5 minutes of the game, you could see that the Seattle Seahawks, their front defensive line was much stronger than the New England Patriots offensive line. And the poor kid, Drake May, the quarterback back there, young guy, second year, he's getting smacked every play. He doesn't have enough time to set his feet to throw. He can't make his checkoffs. And I knew the game was over in the first 5 minutes of it. And Patriots hung on. Their defense was good, but Seattle was a much stronger, faster team. And that's what happened in the game. Beautiful stadium, 40 miles south of San Francisco. San Francisco itself is a disaster. And that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So this was the apex of capitalism. The wealthiest people in the world were in San Francisco for the parties and the socializing and all of that. And that took place Friday and Saturday, a little on Thursday, those 2 days. And the amount of opulence on display. My hotel, cheeseburger, $36. Okay, I mean, it was just 2 scrambled eggs, $22. And it was a good hotel. I mean, they were very nice. I'm not buying that. I'm going across the street to Jerry's, and 2 scrambled eggs are going to cost me $7.50. Okay, it's not that I can't afford it. I don't care. I wasn't even paying for it. All right, News Nation hired me to do a mammoth special on the collapse of San Francisco. So they pay for it, but I'm not going to do it. But that's capitalism. So everybody knew the wealthy were pouring into town. At the same moment, the wealthy are walking around, going to the parties, the soirees. Less than a mile away, the lowest, most appalling public situation in America, the Tenderloin District of San Francisco. Looks like India. And the Indians are there because they're poor. These are drug addicts and mentally ill all over the place, okay? And it is just awful. And the whole city is dingy except for where Nancy Pelosi lives, and I'll get to that in a moment. Now, the homeless population in San Francisco is estimated anywhere between 8 and 30,000. Not going to get an accurate number from the city and state of California. There, I'll tell you the truth. And it's very hard to pin it down because it goes in and it goes out, and there are homes, if you want to call them that are available to these people if they want them, and most of them don't because they're so dangerous. These government homes are so dangerous because they don't drug test you. So if you want a spot, you can go in there and sell and do whatever you want, and it's horrible. So the drug addicts on the street are telling me, I'd rather be here on a sidewalk than over there, even though I have a roof over my head. It's unbelievable. So the bottom on this is that the city of San Francisco and the state of California, which oversees the city, will not arrest people, charge people for narcotics violations. That means you can sell, you can use in public, you can trade, you can barter, you can prostitute yourself, you can shoplift, and you are not going to be taken into custody. I mean, the cops in San Francisco are good. These guys are good. A long conversation with them, and they're as frustrated as anybody. But the city's not going to do anything about it. It's called harm reduction. In addition to that, they give the drug addicts needles and pipes, and they give it to them. And it's just, you're sitting there, you're going, And the result is horrific. Any child seeing that, and it's right in the middle of San Francisco. It's not like someplace out of town. And the numbers. Why? Because San Francisco gives them $1,000 a month if you're a drug addict. Hands it to you through a debit card. Are you kidding me? All right. So all of this will be in the documentary, and then you'll see me right in the middle of it. To tell you about in a moment. Now, the city fathers who are running around, all these parties, they'll go, oh, San Francisco, greatest city in the country. We're making comebacks, and we're doing this, we're doing that. So we asked to speak to the mayor, Daniel Lurie. He ran away from me, but here's what he said previously.
We kind of had a live and let live attitude for a while in this city, and that has changed. We have changed that attitude over the last year. We want to get people off the street and into help. But of course, it is an affordability issue statewide, and we need to build more housing statewide.
They've already spent more than $1 billion trying to build these houses that nobody will go into because they're too dangerous. I mean, it's and you're sitting there going, and Lurie is one of these big parties, greatest city, and I'm going, did you walk outside? And not only is it there, but the whole city, I've been going there for more than 45 years. But not at Nancy Pelosi's house. Beautiful mansion. Pacific Heights. I stood right outside her door because I did a stand up there. I saw her twice, she ran. And I mean, there was no reason for me to bother her. Lurie, yeah, but not her. Although she's partly responsible for this. Anyway, back to the wealthy people. They are walled off from all this. So when they were asking me, okay, what are you doing here beside the Super Bowl? I go, we should do a documentary on the collapse of social order in San Francisco. It's like, most of them aren't from San Francisco and they don't care, but it's like, oh, okay. And this is capitalism. The highest of the high. You couldn't have more money than these people have. Tim Cook was there, head of Apple. I mean, the richest guys were there. You couldn't have more money. And then the lowest of the low, right within walking distance. Now, people think that's evil, but it's really not evil. Because the only way out of the low is to use capitalism to lift yourself out. Now, these poor drug addicts, they're going to die, most of them. You're going to die from fentanyl. And they don't care. They don't really care if they die. They told me, I just want to get high. If I die, I die. One guy went to sleep in a doorway, and there were 3 other guys, maybe a woman, he didn't delineate it by gender, with him. When he woke up in the morning, 2 of them were dead. That's what it is. So the displays of capitalism, lowest of the low, highest of the high. But it's not capitalism's fault. The people in the Tenderloin, the drug addicted, not the mentally ill so much, but there's a lot of crossover on that. Okay? They don't want to have a house or a career or a family. A lot of them have left their families. They just want to get high. Now, the solution is therapeutic centers. I'm not going to get into that now, but there is a solution to the problem. Anyway, let's sum this up. I learned an enormous amount. And, when I hear the Californians say, we're going to do this, they're not going to do anything. Number one, they don't really care. And number two, their solutions, the progressive solutions, are nonsense. And that's the memo. Bad Bunny. I don't care about Bad Bunny. So the show, I couldn't hear it, and I understand I wouldn't have understood it even if I could hear it, but I watched from where I was in the stadium, and it was an homage to Puerto Rico. Oh, it's okay. Puerto Rico's part of the United States, and they're running around and going, Puerto Rico's great, or whatever it is. But why was Bad Bunny there when most Americans have no connection to Bad Bunny? Why? And a lot of them don't like him because he's made some anti-American statements. And why do that, National Football League? Here's the reason. You ready? It's because of Apple. So Apple has spent $50 million, $50 million on the Super Bowl halftime show. And they wanted Bad Bunny so they could sell his music on Spotify and the other Apple, whatever it is, businesses. They wanted him. They got him. President Trump didn't like it. A lot of you didn't like it. Other people watched Kid Rock doing something on YouTube. I guess about 6 million watched that. But it was all money. That's why Bad Bunny was there. Did you know that? I didn't know that. But it was my job to find out, and I did. Epstein, I'm sorry to report, but there is some breaking news here, so I have to. So today, Epstein's henchwoman, Elaine Maxwell, serving 20 years in federal prison, went to the House to testify. Oversight Committee took the fifth. Said, look, if you give me clemency, I'll tell you everything. Hey, lady, if it were up to me, you'd never get out of prison. Ever. Okay? I don't care whether you take the fifth or not. And the Clintons, end of this month, Bill Clinton is supposed to testify in front of the Oversight Committee on February 27th. Hillary Clinton, February 26th. So joining us now is a member of that committee so we can find out what the inside stuff is. Pete Sessions is a Republican congressman from Texas. So you knew that Maxwell was going to take the fifth, right? Before she showed up today?
We did. We'd figured that out. We've been through this charade now for several months.
So why bother calling her in?
Well, because we had to give the chance. We've called a lot of former officials Republicans who provided the best of information that they could and had. We have been after both President Clinton and Mrs. Clinton for quite some time. They're the ones that really made this the issue. We typically do these without the entire committee there. They've chosen to do this. We've got lots of questions they would tend to be aware of, or we'll find out what they are going to say, remembering that they're going to take an oath, and that oath means
but they may
truth.
They may not recall. That's Hillary's big line. I don't really recall. But interestingly enough, Maxwell's lawyer today said publicly Presidents Trump and Clinton had nothing to do with anything untoward, right?
I think that's correct, but there are things that the committee may have on both President and Mrs. Clinton where when they don't remember, they may be reminded.
That's always a good thing, Congressman.
Isn't that, there's an old saying, facts are a stubborn thing, but there are things which have been known, and including conversations and trying to help perhaps him doing things with their government there. So there are some things that they may all of a sudden recognize. Yeah, that's my handwriting.
All right. What do you? The American public's tired of this story. If they like President Trump, if they don't like President Trump, they want to put a noose around Mr. Trump's neck and tie him some way into Epstein. But what do you want? What are you trying to demystify about Bill Clinton himself? He says he wasn't on that stupid island. He says he wasn't involved with any kind of illegality. What do you want to try to demonstrate with the former president?
Well, seemingly other people did understand what were going on behind closed doors. They seemingly did understand that perhaps people tried to get Jeffrey Epstein a job or to be a part of the government, not to pay taxes when they were there, to gain favor with them. Who paid the money? Who was providing cover for these things? These are all things that would tend to jar one's memory if confronted with ideas, perhaps facts the case. So I think it's always worthy to get it straight from them rather than just releasing data and information that by and large has not been released yet.
Do you think there'll be some new headlines here?
I think that there will be some questions.
Okay.
Certainly.
Okay. So, President Clinton, do you believe, and you don't have to be specific, that wouldn't be, because you guys are doing your research, you're going to have the hearing and all that. Do you believe he's in legal jeopardy?
Well, there's always something that's said, and that is the cover up is worse than the crime. So, and of course, as you suggested, at least Mrs. Clinton is probably going to say, I don't remember, I don't know, I forgot. Very similar to what we have heard over the last few days from a number of witnesses. And of course, we know who that is. Jack Smith did that when he was deeply involved, and yet he accuses others of not having memory. So, my point might be to the Clintons, it didn't have to come this way, and it's ended up this way.
Okay, but with Bill and Hillary, it's two different things, or you tell me if I'm wrong. Bill Clinton was an active participant in social things with Jeffrey Epstein. Everybody knows that. The pictures are out there. He's in some kind of pool, whatever. With Hillary Clinton, from my investigation, it has to do with her charitable foundation. Is that correct?
Well, there's a good bit, and that goes back to the, well, if you don't remember, let me see if I can help your memory out documents.
Okay, so she was involved with Epstein, former Secretary of State, in a way that might be considered shady when you're trying to raise money for your charitable foundation. That's what our investigation shows. I mean, we don't have what you have, but that's the direction that I believe is in play. Am I right or wrong on that?
I would say that would certainly be the major part of this paperwork that does exist.
Because you know how much I want to be right, Congressman. I mean, Anyway, look, we appreciate you telling the American people exactly what's going on, because they can't get that in the corporate media. They can't get it. The information that you just gave me, and you answered every question. You didn't dodge, you didn't do this, right? They can't get it because the corporate media will not cover it unless it's Trump. Last word.
Well, I would say to you that, once again, the things which are presented before the committee at the end of the month will be probably pretty good theater. And it's my hope that there's a lot of reality, that people need to answer questions or will be reminded.
All right. I hope you come back, Congressman. We really appreciate your time today.
I'd like to well enough to get invited back. And Bill, thank you. I hope you recover.
Thanks very much, sir. Final thought of the day. When you go to these lavish parties, there is a protocol, okay? So you just don't go in and get drunk and slosh around, and there's so much security. And I have to say once again, I really compliment the California police for what they did Super Bowl weekend. It was a zoo. So you had state police, CHIPS, you had the San Francisco City Police, you had the San Francisco County Sheriff's Office, and then you had smaller departments. And I mean, I watched these guys closely, and they were all top flight because they were a crush of people. So you go to the party, you got to have an admission and all that. You go in, and it's a couple hundred people, right? So you saw the pictures. I posted some pictures on BillO'Reilly.com. Bon Jovi, I've known forever. He was very nice to my daughter, by the way. I told him that. I said, I really remember that. And there were the NFL owners and some politicians. When I saw Nancy Pelosi, she literally ran away. I didn't know an 84-year-old could run that fast, man. I was like, boom. And she was hanging out with MC Hammer, one of the first rappers. He might have been the first. But Hammer came over to me, and I go, are you Nancy's bodyguard today? What are you doing? And he just looked at me. But there's a lot of interaction. Okay. So I'm standing there and I have to have security. Although I didn't need it. Nobody was mean to me. I thought we were going to run into some problems. So I'm standing with a couple of guys, and all of a sudden, Gavin Newsom, the best hair in the world, he and Elvis. He sees me, and hey, O'Reilly. I go, Governor, how you doing? Interesting enough, he didn't have a lot of security, and he's floating the room. And I watched him before a little bit. What a slick guy. Now, I'm not talking about the hair. He's just very bad. So we're starting to chat. And I said, you got your cabinet picked out yet? Because he's running for president, obviously. He goes, you got to come on my podcast. I said, I'd be flattered to come on your podcast, Governor. He said, you and me, well, I'll go on yours, and then maybe you'll do mine. I don't have a podcast, but you know, No Spin News. And that would be a great conversation. So that we didn't nail a date down, but he made the invitation to me. Whoa. So I ran it by the head of YouTube. I said, I think this might happen. 40 million is the estimate that will watch it. So anyway, I talked to Gavin Newsom, not about politics. That would be inappropriate. I'm not hammering him about the drug addicts running around or the budget crisis or the gas prices. I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to take a measure of the man because I don't know him that well. I know him a little bit. And I got to say, the guy was very, very open, very respectful, and I was the same right back to him. So I hope that happens. And that would be something. Thank you for watching and listening to the No Spin News and Bill O'Reilly. We'll see you again tomorrow. Trump haters apparently have been dealt a very big blow by something that broke today about the Epstein files. Interesting story, and we'll have it for you coming soon. I did speak with President Trump about Iran. I'm going to tell you all about that. And we're going to have more on Neville Roy Singham. Remember, we broke that story a couple of weeks ago. Others had been investigating, but we really put a vivid sign on it. He's an American traitor living in Shanghai, China, funneling hundreds of millions of dollars into radical groups in the USA. And we believe those groups are paying agitators to try to essentially destroy the government of the USA. So we're going to have more on that right now. Talking Points memo. So this morning, the House Ways and Means Committee held hearings on Singham and a few radical groups that are under investigation. One caveat here. Congress is now being pretty aggressive investigating this. Where's the FBI? Where are the departments of the U.S. government? Silence. Don't like that. I understand you can't give specifics. You can't convict people or even give names, but you can give an overview as we are giving, okay? So the investigation this morning was led by Congressman Jason Smith, Missouri, Ways and Means, as I mentioned, and he focused in on two groups, Breakthrough Media and Tricontinental, the Institute for Social Research. Okay? So the House is subpoenaing records from those two groups. Now, they are shadowy. These are really, we're getting down to it now. Remember, all coming out of China, which is not America's friend. Okay. Breakthrough Media. Its headquarters, 320 West 37th Street in New York City. Same address as the People's Forum. Same address. What's the People's Forum, as we reported? Communist organization. Okay? And they are getting money from Mr. Singham. Whoa, what a coincidence. Okay? So they say Breakthrough News says that they regularly produce content that's aligned with the Chinese Communist Party, which is allowed under the Constitution. You can be a communist, you can promote communism. It's allowed, okay? The head of this group is a woman named Carla Reyes, all right, who's apparently a communist. She'd have to be. And the whole crew is, the Jerusalem Post has done a big expose on these people and how radical left they are. Remember, the central part of this is funneling money to these groups, Shanghai to New York, to Minnesota, to Portland, Oregon, to LA, wherever, to pay agitators to go out and destroy things, attack federal agents, on and on. That is the allegation. That is why we are doing the story. Okay. The other one is Tricontinental Institute for Social Research. This is in Northampton, Massachusetts. Okay? It has offices in 4 countries: Argentina, South Africa, India, and Brazil. It is a, quote, Marxist think tank. All right. So it remains to be seen whether the federal government can prove that these organizations are funding agitators who are committing violence. That would be conspiracy. Now, we already know that Neville Roy Singham's a traitor. And if you don't like it, Mr. Singham, come on and sue me. Okay, come on back here. And I'll be happy to go up against you. You're a traitor. And you're getting people killed, to boot. Now, this guy Singham, New York Times exposed him a few years ago. Congress has been on him since October. But again, FBI, we have no blanket idea. The other thing that's a little bit disturbing is that I asked Secretary Bessent where the defunding of these organizations are, because the organizations that Singham gives money to are all nonprofit 501cs. And Bessent gave me the middle finger. That wasn't nice. He didn't really, but I'm doing, when you ignore a legitimate question from me, who has millions of viewers all over the world, that's not smart, Mr. Secretary. So now I'm watching you. It's not a threat. It's like, this is your job. You can go on CNBC and Fox News, Business News all day long and tell everybody how great the economy is, but you need to address serious things like this. All right? And I talked about it with President Trump. He's on it. And I told you in our last report that I did give him the information that we had because he requested it. And that's my job as an American. But Bessent, we are open to hearing what you have to say, but you should say something. And I think that's fair. All right, let's sum this up. So China's not a friend of the USA. We got an American trader over there in Shanghai. He's pumping money into all of these nonprofits. The nonprofits are then sending the money to agitators, we believe, okay, who are then getting people killed and disrupting all kinds of investigations on the federal level and causing rebellion. That's where we are, all right? And I'm not going to leave this story. I'm not going to let it go. And you're not going to hear it on ABC or NBC or CBS. You're not going to hear it. They won't report it. I don't know why. It's insane. I mean, this Savannah Guthrie mother tragedy, horrible. But this story is covered 10,000 times more than this story about fostering rebellion in your own country. And it just, I know it's easy to cover the Guthrie story. I'm going to write about it tomorrow in the message of the day. But we know what's important here, and that's the memo. Okay, Epstein files. Now, I don't cover this because I knew it was bogus from the beginning. Because I know Trump, 35 years. I know what he does. I know who he hangs with. I knew this was BS, but the Trump haters desperately want to hang Epstein around him. Now, the latest information, okay, from all of these files is, now stay with me, I'm going to walk right through this. 2006, Jeffrey Epstein was under investigation for crimes involving minor girls. That got into the press. Trump called authorities in Palm Beach County, and specifically the sheriff, Michael Ryder. Trump told the sheriff, according to the documents in the Epstein files, okay, you better get Epstein. He's an awful guy. Okay. That same year, 2006, Epstein was indicted. It took 2 years, and he was convicted on state charges. In Florida, he served 18 months in prison. Then he got out of prison and went back to doing the same stuff. You know, come on. The feds did not indict him. Now, there's a lot of controversy about that. Feds should have indicted him, or they made a deal. I'm not an expert on that. So Trump was basically anti-Epstein before 2006, but now he's on the record. So you would think that everybody would report this the way I just did, and then the hysteria would stop. Nope. CNN comes out and says, well, that indicates that Trump knew what Epstein was doing and didn't report it quickly enough, or some stupid spin garbage like that. Now, we're going to define that tomorrow a little more clearly to you about how dishonest this whole thing is. But that was an important thing about all of these people who spend hours and hours and hours trying to convict Trump of something. And now we have documentation that he was anti-Epstein and actually informed the authorities in 2006. All right, ICE in California, federal judges ruled that they can wear masks, and California has no right to tell them they can't, because federal law supersedes state law. Judges Christina Snyder, appointed by Bill Clinton, the judge said, though, if ICE is going to participate in raids, they have to wear an ID on their uniform, which is fair. Fair. Okay? So that ruling came down. U.S. added $700 billion in national debt in the first 4 months of the fiscal year. So it doesn't go January to January in the federal government. It goes October to October. Almost $1 trillion. The Trump administration is not going to cut spending. I mean, I know the Doge and all that, but there's so many things going on. And the president is very grandiose. You know, he likes to move things. But there's a warning from the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, better stop. Both parties have to stop it, because that's going to cause the economy to crash. You cannot carry $37 trillion in debt. And it mounts each quarter now. We're at $700 million more debt. It's got to stop. This should be every day, every way reported. And both parties are at fault. Democrats don't want it. They want to increase spending on every level. Now, there is a poll out from the National Taxpayers Survey, okay? And it asked 800 registered voters 3 questions. Here they are. Of the 3 ways to reduce the debt, what do you think's best? Cutting government spending, 54%. That's my thing. Growing the economy, 32%. That's too dicey. Raising taxes, 13%. And that includes Democrats. Okay. Second question. Indicate if you agree or disagree with the following statement. There is currently an affordability crisis in this country. Agree 89, disagree 11, and that's why you can't raise taxes. Okay, third question. 37 trillion national debt will eventually become a problem that has real impact on me and my family. Agree 88%, disagree 11. It's already a problem that's having influence on you and your family. Too much money going out of the country. And a lot of it's going to China. So China buys U.S. treasuries and all of that, okay? Chinese banks buy American paper. But now the Chinese government is warning their own banks, cut back on that. Ooh. That means that the value of U.S. investment is going to go down. This is a mess. Congress has got to stop it. Congress is in charge of spending. Iran. So I talked with President Trump about this, and I'm not name dropping. I mean, I got to report what's going on. The president would rather make a deal than bomb Iran. Why? He doesn't want to kill Persian civilians, and that would happen. And I think that's noble. So if we go in with air power off our carriers and start to bomb Revolutionary Guard headquarters, whatever it may be, civilians are going to die, and that's going to be all over the world. So he wants to make a deal with Iran, but I don't think Iran wants to make the deal. My opinion. Okay, I don't think they're just slow walking it, and I don't see anything. But the last minute that could change. When will the last minute happen? After the Olympics. I don't believe it's going to be any, we're giving you 24 hours kind of deadline till the Olympics are over. I could be wrong about that. Joining us now is an expert on what's happening in the Middle East and Iran, E.J. Kimball, foreign policy analyst with the U.S.-Israel Education Association. So one of the reasons that you're here, Mr. Kimball, in addition to being a smart guy, is because it's not only the USA that has to sign off on what's going to happen in Iran, but Israel does, and Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states do, correct?
That's true. And Bill, thanks for having me on. There are a lot of players that have a role to play in this decision. And, I think your conversation with President Trump makes a lot of sense. And I agree. President Trump does not want to carry out airstrikes because he knows that it's going to lead to civilian deaths. That would be unfortunate. He wants to make a deal, but he has shown, even in Venezuela, he wanted to make a deal with Maduro. Maduro would not play ball. And I think what we're seeing right now with the Iranians, they're not looking to make a deal right now. They're trying to negotiate over the terms of negotiating. And right. President Trump's not going to sit around and let that happen. It's just not, he's not going to let them play that game.
But he's got the Olympics to worry about. We got 2 more weeks of that.
Well, that's true. But I will say, and this is where President Trump is so unique, because if this was President Biden, President Obama, even President Bush, I don't think we would even be talking about this. But President Trump is so unpredictable that could he carry out this strike while the Olympics are going on? It's a question that we have to ask, and that's been his MO all along. Expect the unexpected.
It's a good point, the unpredictability of it, certainly. But that is an inhibitor because you've got this big worldwide thing, and then you go in and regime change. But regime change, I think, has to happen in Iran. But it has to be done by the Persian people themselves. And if you weaken the mullahs and their Revolutionary Guard protectors, it's more likely to happen. But right now, the focus is on Iran obeying the nuclear prohibition. And I don't see a lot of regime change talk. Do you?
I'm not seeing a lot of that talk, but President Trump has talked about regime change. He's used the terms regime change. He said to the people, help is on the way. And that's a big thing that he put his credibility on the line there for the people. But I agree with you. He's not looking to do a regime change and own it. I mean, look, he campaigned in 2016 about nation building and criticizing the Bush administration. He's not going to do that. What we saw and what we're seeing in Venezuela is this attempt to get rid of the top and see if the next level can work with you. Now, I don't know if there's levels within the IRGC that would be willing to work with the Trump administration and get rid of the nuclear program, the ballistic missile program, stop funding the terror proxies, stop repressing the people. I think that's way too much to ask for out of the IRGC.
Yeah, you have
Maybe
to have
there
a
is.
new leadership, a secular leadership goes in. But we own Venezuela now. So we're calling every shot in that country. They're not calling any. I know that to be true. Any prediction on what's going to happen in Iran?
I think that we will carry out strikes. I think part of the reason why this may take a few more weeks is that a first strike by the United States will be a massive strike that not only takes out the threats inside of Iran, but also the threats in the region that could attack U.S. forces and our allies. And that's the Houthis, that's the militias in Iraq. We're talking about anything remaining in Syria, anything remaining with Hezbollah. I think it will be massive.
Wow.
And coordinated with other countries. President Trump wants a win. He doesn't want a long war. He wants to go in fast, and have a massive, overwhelming response.
All right. We have you on tape, EJ, and thank you for appearing today.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here's an unbelievable story. Did you ever hear of the jock tax? It's in California, of course, the highest tax state in the history of mankind, except for communism, where they take all your stuff. And if California could do that, they would. So, Super Bowl is in Santa Clara, and the teams come in about 8 days before the game to practice and all of that. So Sam Darnold is the quarterback of the Super Bowl winning Seattle Seahawks. He and his teammates each make $178,000 for the victory. Each player on the Seahawks makes that much money. You know what California is charging Darnold for playing and practicing in the state for 8 days? $250,000. So he loses money. He loses money by going there and winning the Super Bowl. Is this a riot? I'm going, wait. California goes in and takes his money. Now, if it's my accountant, if I'm Darnold, I don't pay it. Okay, I don't pay it. I just challenge it and challenge it and challenge it. I'll pay the money to challenge it. I'm just going, you can't confiscate my winnings, which is what they're doing. So I'm going to follow this story. The California personal income tax rate, state tax, is 13.3% at the highest level. And Darnold paying that and more because he's a jock coming in from out of state.